Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back your host, Sleeper Magazine's editor-at-large, Guy Dietrich.
Hello and welcome to the final chapter of Sleeper Magazine's awards programme for 2021, the AHEAD Global Awards. AHEAD celebrates the very best of hospitality experience and design. And last week, the winners from our 4 regional awards did battle to decide the global champions across 15 categories. Those category winners topped the podium from a field that initially comprised a massive 620 entries from 60 countries. We thank all those who entered. We had some stunning and well-produced submissions. Year by year, the bar gets ever higher. We of course also thank our sponsors, without whom none of this would happen. They are global sponsors Keldove, Laufen, Rocker, Villeroy & Boch and Lasvit. Particular thanks go to global headline sponsor RH Contract.
We don't do it alone. And we don't care where the ideas come from. We just want to be part of it.
We create our designs to support people in their lives, to make them feel comfortable, more creative. People can rest.
It's not just a job to me, it's not just work. I breathe design.
Design is not something that we do, it's something that we are. It's how we see our life, how we see the world, and how we challenge our environment.
Thanks also to the unflagging support of our 64 judges from around the globe. We ask a lot of them over the year, but I know they also enjoy the process. The AHEAD Awards look beyond mere design to commercial viability and the overall hospitality experience. Let's take a look at a montage of those entries and winners for 2021. Some truly wonderful and inspiring examples of hospitality design and experience. Congratulations to all those regional winners who got to be judged at the global level. And of course, well done to all of last week's global category winners. And of course, thank you for joining us. Keep that momentum on social going by using our hashtags at AHEAD_awards, hashtag AHEADglobal, hashtag GoodTimesAhead. Coming up today, we will announce the winner of our People's Choice Award, as well as the prize for the best of the best, the AHEAD Global Awards 2021 Ultimate Accolade. But before we do, a couple of pieces of news. Firstly, the AHEAD 2022 season will begin on the 24th of January when we open for entries across all regions. You've got to be in it to win it, so get stuck in. Again, entries for all regions open on the 24th of January. And secondly, our much anticipated return to live meetings events with 2 sleeper sessions coming up for you this May and October in Mykonos and Da Nang respectively. Sessions will safely connect creators of hospitality experiences, that's all of you, so find out more at sleepersessions.com. So back to today. First, we will discover the winner of our People's Choice Award as voted by you over the last days. And what a response we've had. Choosing from amongst all 42 regional winners, you have overwhelmed us. Thank you for your enthusiasm, your energy, your votes. The creativity of your persuasive social media voting campaigns was great. Just take a look at what you got up to. Just fabulous. It's now my great pleasure to hand over to Matt Turner, Editor-in-Chief of Sleeper Magazine, to announce the winner of the AHEAD Global 2021 People's Choice Award. Over to you, Matt.
Thank you very much indeed, Guy. Here we are at Sleeper HQ, the famous Strawberry Studios, for the culmination of our 2021 awards programme. And as you've just seen, we had an incredible response on social media. Over 1,000 votes were cast to decide this winner of our People's Choice Award 2021. So I'm now delighted to reveal that that winner is the Chow Kit Kuala Lumpur. Congratulations to all at Ormond. Thank you very much indeed to everyone who voted. And now back over to you, Guy.
Thanks, Matt, and congratulations to the winner of the People's Choice Award for Ahead Global 2021. One of our beautiful trophies from our sponsor Lasvet is on its way to you now. And now we turn to the grandest of grand finales. We are about to reveal the winner of our ultimate Accolade Award. And I'm delighted to say that I'm joined by the chairs of our 4 regional awards in Asia, the Middle East and Africa, the Americas and Europe. Welcome Alia, Chris, Isabel and Troy. Thank you all for joining us. We are going to discuss the broader themes and trends they have seen both globally and within their region, and how these were exemplified by the Ahead entries and winners. The best ideas and realizations of 2021, the contenders for the year's ultimate accolade. Let's get stuck into the discussion straight away. Troy, I'd like to start with you. Give us an idea of some of the trends you saw at the regional level.
Look, I think what was interesting this year was, particularly when you look at the sort of the 4 projects that have sort of made it through to our shortlist now, is that it seems that those projects that were focused on more restraint and edit as opposed to design for design's sake rose to the top. I thought that was quite interesting. A lot of projects that are really trying to embrace the environment and the nature around them, and to frame that beautifully, to immerse themselves in those kinds of experiences. I thought that was an interesting trend.
Okay, thanks, Troy. It's interesting. Isabel, how about you? What did you see in your region as sort of the main sort of trends and thoughts over the course of the last year?
I think that the one thing that has caught my attention the most, what I've noticed the most, would be a real sort of sense of location, celebrating where you're at, where you're located, not in a pastiche sort of manner, not sort of the photograph on a corridor that has sort of Empire State in New York, but it's more really digging deeper. And I would say that that's the one thing that's been most noticeable.
Alia, what about you over at in the Americas?
There was a time when design was about this heavy layering and this elaborate, almost ornate, decorative narrative. And now, as I looked at a lot of the projects, particularly in our region, but even globally, this expression of what is real, the Hutton brickyards and how clean that was. And there's a certain materiality that is expressed and enjoyed and celebrated. It was the same with the hotel in Mexico, the Grupo Habitat Circulo. Same idea, fresh, clean, and I love and respect that the industry has found its footing in owning that not everything has to be elaborate and overdone, and really celebrating what is genuinely true to the site, to the building, to the location.
Great, thank you very much indeed. Chris, what about you? What did you see for the Europe region over the last year?
Yeah, thanks, Guy. Probably 2 or 3 really inspiring trends, actually, and there's so much been happening. I think one for me that really jumped out was architectural kind of authenticity. So a kind of deep cultural understanding of location and heritage. I think an increased sense of the history of the building and the location is really important. So that was definitely one that came up with Nomad in London. Another one, very different when we look at things like Ibiza and Oku, was the sense of escape, getting away from sort of day-to-day life and real sort of seclusion. And lots of the categories we looked at were deeply sort of ingrained in the wilderness and a sense of sanctuary. So yeah, there's a couple there that really jumped out for Europe for me.
So maybe we should try and have a look at this idea of nature and landscape and how this is and this connection, which is something, Isabel, you were talking about, this connection with the locality has become so important to the new hotels going forward.
This feeling of when you're out in nature, this psychological sense of safety It is intrinsic to where you can properly relax, where you can enjoy yourself. So I think a hybrid of feeling safe, psychologically safe and physically safe, together with being able to escape the reality that you're coming from, is key. It's key to make those spaces. And I think any property that does those two things well is bound to be successful, from hopefully from a design point of view, from a business side as well.
With regard to nature, I'm thinking the Aman, you mentioned Troy earlier, both the Aman and the Li Yang, both very, very connected to their locality in terms of nature.
Yeah, I think it's been interesting to see in the resort context, to see villas and even suites that are on corners to have more open spaces. So instead of the typical 3-wall and a window, you start to have sort of 2 walls, or even villas that open up fully all the way around. I think even in the urban context, you're probably going to see more conservatories, winter gardens, rooftop enhancements, urban jungle curation in all kinds of spaces, whether that's in room or public areas. I think we see a lot of that coming now. I mean, it's probably going to be obvious in projects we see in the next year for sure.
Yeah, and look at the Nomad London. I mean, you would say that's got nothing to do with the landscape and nature, but Chris, you've seen the lobby there. That's quite a special place with the planting they've got there.
Yeah, I agree. I think, the sense of nature, whether it's a resort or an urban location, and bringing nature into interior spaces is massively important. Obviously, in Nomad in London, there's the really inspiring atrium restaurant space, but also the lobby with an abundance of planting and nature. It's really pushed the design forward, and I think a great trend. And it definitely came up in the shortlisted projects and winners we looked at in Europe.
Let's move this idea of connection perhaps into other areas. I'm thinking now of local craftsmanship, local materials, perhaps. Maybe these are two elements we could explore. Alia, if I think of the one and only, lots of great materiality there.
I think, the integration to the site is really what sings there. Outside of, okay, you have a traditional bungalow, which is beautiful, and, I cannot wait to visit. But then, the notion of then they use cliffs to their advantage, and how that sort of siting becomes a different experience for the rooms. But the winner for me is really the tree houses. We've all seen the sort of simpler manifestations of tree houses and hospitality, but to see these really sort of beautiful spaces that feel so integrated, you don't really know where the interior ends and the exterior begins. So I think all of that sort of detailing and treatment of how inside and out flow, and the materiality, the concrete, the wood, nothing feels out of place. That to me shows such discipline, the restraint to embrace what is there and to make it look good, rather than layering on more, which can sometimes take you away from the jewel that is present in front of you.
Troy, what about you? This Lai Yang Vintage Hotel, lots of connection there with nature.
It's where sort of craftsmanship and authenticity and materiality have sort of intersected more and more. I think these concepts of like found objects and found materials, upcycling as a movement sort of continues to grow. And I think where they were once maybe more of a novelty or the odd statement, strong statement of a sustainable sort of effort, I think they're now sort of evolving into things that are actually expected.
Great bit of recycling. Isabel, the Sussurro in Mozambique, winner of the Hotel of the Year for the Middle East and Africa this last year. What did you see there?
I think what they've done at Sussurro is just outstanding. They've taken local materials and they've turned them into these sculptural objects. We were saying before, a slightly clinical approach to the use of materials. They've kept it incredibly austere, but what they have used, they've played with it in a way. I mean, you see in the bathrooms, you see the towel rail holders, and there's branches that they've played with them in a very simple manner, but they've done it so well in such a curated manner that it becomes a sculpture in its own right. It's going back to basics, but with enormous amount of care to the materials. What you see is there's no sort of harsh lines. Nothing's been done with a ruler, and there's a real sense of craftsmanship behind it. And that's how I feel Sussurro has been done, that it's been done with love and with enormous attention to detail, with a very limited palette of materials.
What do you think, Chris, about this idea of architectural elements sort of almost driving the interior design to a degree?
I think there's a real sense of sustainability of materials, particularly in Ibiza, where there's a hugely design-led approach with natural materials and timber to fuse the old and the new. And I think even in almost the complete opposite in Nomads, the use of timber, dark stained materials, and I think the rest of us have talked about this, that kind of design that's been curated and evolved over time was apparent in lots of the projects, even Villa Copenhagen, which we looked at in Europe. So I think that sense of curation and evolution of material, and very much pared back, more about texture, more about materiality, rather than materials that perhaps, I think, Troy, you mentioned we would have seen in the past. But I think the other thing that came across in Ibiza, and to a certain extent at Nomad in London and Ibiza too, was the sense of supporting the community and making the community the part of the project, whether that's local commissioned architects, using local consultants, supporting the community, paying the local artisans. I think in pretty much all of the shortlisted and winning categories we looked at, that was absolutely paramount to the success of the project, the sense of giving something back to the community and making them feel part of the project.
Do you think that's because of the domestic scale of a lot of the projects we're looking at here?
I wouldn't necessarily say it's just about scale. I think it's also about that true deep sense of place and working with local people. That's the only way you get that true authenticity, in my view.
I think it's a little bit of an attitude shift, right? I think there's an awareness now that our guests expect more. They want to see the real. They are more discerning in their expectations. They are able to differentiate. And, they certainly, sitting at home or even, prior to this, there was a greater awareness of what is new and what is fresh and what other people are not doing, and having those real experiences. And I think that has continued on. I think when you adjust when you embrace the shift, I think scale then can start to work to your advantage. It's the partners that you find, the craftsmen, the people who help the craftsmen manifest their details. You certainly see it a little bit more in developing nations. And I think that there's a lot of lessons there to be learned that we can pull world over.
The other thing I saw, and maybe you picked up on as well, is this idea of new ways of living, and this sort of blended hybrid spaces, working from hotels as well as working from home, of course. Is that something that you see as a trend?
Many people are now traveling to places and living from those places and working from those places. So that boundary between work and leisure, it's been so blurred. And one of the positives of the global pandemic, that you can now work from just about anywhere. We find that we have guests that stay with us for 3 months, and then they move to another resort and stay for another 2 months. And that's not unusual. It's very, very frequent. So it's that line is sort of being blurred quite a lot.
Wow, that's great for business, that is. Chris, tell us what your thoughts are on that.
I think we're seeing much longer stays generally, and not just working in outside spaces and enjoying outside spaces, but I think the expectation of interiors as well is you should be able to complete sort of any function within any space. So, if you want to dine, to work, to live, within any part of the property, you should be able to do so. And I think that's a big shift that's happened over the last few years. And definitely the balance of life has changed. And that brings opportunities for kitchen spaces, dining spaces, extended stay, larger suites, etc. So all of those things are part of the same trend.
Following on from what Chris said, I think every space seems to have become more democratized, particularly public areas. But I guess even at home, we see that now. We seem to be all much more comfortable when we see other people's kids in the back of the Zoom, and we're all sharing spaces and using the same spaces for many different things now. I think that's kind of nice. I think a lot of those environments where luxury had become a bit too formal have now seen a little more casualness infused in them is a nice thing. I think that's a great trend.
It's, we call this together alone. Like, this is something, I can't take credit for that statement, but it's exactly that. You want to see the people, you want to see the movement. but you want to do it from your little corner of the space. And, you know, I get it. I get the psychological rationale behind it, but, you know, having self-entertained for a many number of months, I'm quite ready to, you know, be around people as well. So I get it. I totally get it.
Perhaps this idea of playfulness. Anybody any thoughts on how that might work, Chris?
The Five Arms and Bertie's Bar up in the Cairngorms in the Highlands in Scotland. I had the pleasure of being up there again recently. It's a sort of avalanche for the senses, but the idea of playfulness came across at Bertie's Bar, absolutely. And it really is a sort of overload for all of those senses. And we also saw that at Nomad in the courtroom, right? You go into another world where you open the door on what used to be quite an austere courtroom, where obviously it had a very different use, but local commissioned artists and artisans have painted the walls and the ceilings in clouds and plants and materials, and that sort of sense of escapism and playfulness through materiality, I think, yeah, we're seeing in quite a number of projects.
I would agree 100% that escapism is something that is needed. You need that joy, that surprise, that sort of fun aspect on projects. And we've seen that in a number of projects around the world. You see it with sort of overscaling. You see it with slightly more provocative artwork and punchier artwork that you saw before. You know, before the artworks would sort of, in many cases, sort of blend into the walls. You know, it was perfectly balanced. Now, most of the projects that we're looking at, the statement, the pieces that have something that surprise you. You can like it or not like it. That's, you know, that's incredibly subjective, but they do catch your eye.
Alia, what about you? Did you see any feel of playful escapism?
Plenty. And, you know, I love the joy. There's so much joy when you look at those spaces. There's the Peacock Grill at the Austin Proper Hotel. And, you know, the fact that you walk in and yes, it's a restaurant, but then you start to absorb the details and the tile work. And, you know, as Isabella said earlier, this curation of art that is not traditional. It's objects, its forms, you know, even the Lyle Hotel, which was another one, it was a conversion. There was so much simplicity in the curation, but the art was so impactful. The cluster of the Nelson lights, things that are simple and clean, but effective in their dramatic quality. And, you know, having these moments that make you kind of pause and look at them, and they're dimensional and you want to engage with them. I think that there's so much joy in that play, and I'm happy to see it, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of it.
I think one of the things that we touched on before is the shift towards luxury. You know, what is luxury nowadays? I think luxury for me now, and in the designs that I'm seeing, is to bring emotions to the surface, is to create environments that are not so much designed to impress, but more designed to evoke emotions.
Troy, you're nodding.
I think we've arrived at a nice place where luxury maybe has taken on a different meaning now, and there are a lot of different perspectives of what luxury is now, and we're embracing all of them, which is great.
And there we really must end things. Thank you all very much. Now it's time to reveal the top 3 projects for the Ahead Global 2021 Ultimate Accolade. Many thanks to all 4 of our regional chairs. Some interesting points of view there, but who will win? Yes, this is where it all ends. The victor of the Ahead Global 2021 Ultimate Accolade is about to be announced. The winner is the project that was the most coherent and consistent combination of architecture, interior design, and other elements, brought together to deliver an incredible guest experience. To present the Ultimate Accolade winner, we will welcome shortly from our global headline sponsor, RH Contract, their president, Emerging Businesses, leading RH Interior Design, RH Trade, and RH Contract, Claire Eels. So, derived from the results of both the regional and global judging, in reverse order, let's see who is in the top 3. In 3rd place, and winner of its region's Hotel of the Year award, it's the one and only Mandarina. In 2nd place, and also winner of the Hotel of the Year at the regional level, it's the Aman Kyoto. But when it came to first place, we have a masterclass in creating a complete hospitality experience through spectacular design. Claire, please reveal the winner of 2021's Ahead Global Ultimate Accolade.
What a year! We're so grateful and proud to have had the opportunity to partner with the Ahead team to celebrate the very best in global hospitality design. I'm excited to announce that the Ahead Global Ultimate Accolade Award goes to the Nomad London. Congratulations to the whole Nomad London team. What a truly extraordinary hotel that sets a new standard in hospitality design and experience.
Ladies and gentlemen, congratulations to the Nomad London, winner of the 2021 Ahead Global Ultimate Accolade. Congratulations to all involved at the Nomad London, and thanks again to our global headline sponsor, RH Contract.
It is an honour to be nominated for the Ahead Award for Best Hotel in the World, and this is an accolade we would truly cherish. The design of Nomad London began with the vision that was conceived by our CEO, Andrew Zobler, and in collaboration with the Siddell team, our interior designers, Roman and Williams, and our architects, EPR, we were able to land on a design and create spaces that our guests can be amazed by and enjoy. Winning this prestigious award would be a fitting testament to the teamwork and collaboration that we engendered throughout the development of the hotel. We look forward to welcoming you to Nomad London.
Many thanks there to Stuart Adolph, and congratulations once again to the Nomad London, winner of the 2021 Ahead Global Ultimate Accolade. That is it. Well done to all this year's winners, and today in particular to our People's Choice winner and the winner of the Ultimate Accolade, the Nomad London. Thanks again to all our sponsors, in particular global headline sponsor RH Contract and global sponsors Keldove, Rocha, Laufen, Villeroy&Boch and Lasvit. Thanks also to the whole production team, and above all, thank you for joining us. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have. All that is left to say is if you want to be part of the fun, then get your entries in for 2022. We're open for entries for all regions as from the 24th of January. That's it from me. Thank you for joining us.